All right, well, welcome everyone to the Carson Career Fall Series. I'm Josie Cohen-Rodriguez and I am a career consultant in the Carson College of Business, and I'll be helping facilitate this presentation today with Amy Tahita-Len, who is also with me right now. I'm really excited to get today's event started, evolving your brand, your virtual brand with LinkedIn and Handshake. As our attendees log in, we'd like to remind our participants for some helpful ground rules. Please make sure to mute your microphone upon entry to help prevent echoes during this presentation. Please turn on your video so that presenters can see your faces. Q&A will be at the end, so please just raise your hand or use the chat box to ask any questions. WSU students, make sure that you complete the survey at the end of our session in your chat. We will also be taking attendance at the end of the event, so please make sure to stay till the end. Thank you to all of our participants joining now, and I'd like to just go ahead and get started and hand the mic off over to Amy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Tahita-Len, and I am the Industry Connections Coordinator here at the Carson College of Business, and I work collaboratively with the career consultants as part of a career team. And so for our first half of this presentation, I will get into Handshake and what some of the features that are involved with that, so that those who are new to the program can really manage and navigate through the virtual fairs that are happening this week and in the coming weeks. Next slide. By the end of this presentation, you will be able to create effective Handshake and LinkedIn profiles, successfully navigate virtual platforms to find career fairs, events, jobs, and networking, schedule one-on-one career consulting appointments, and research useful information. Next slide. So what is Handshake? Well, Handshake is an online platform which allows all WSU students and alumni the ability to access career fairs, events, search internship and job opportunities, explore companies, network, and connect with career resources. All WSU students are automatically signed up to Handshake when you are first enrolled. So all of you should actually have an account right now. And if you have not done so already, feel free to follow that link and actually log in, because I'm going to be showing you from my student account some of the features. So if you wanted to navigate that, you can do so at the same time. Next slide. And as you're logging in, here's a little video about Handshake.
When I was trying to look for a summer internship this past spring semester, I went around using different job sites that I could find. They weren't really personalized to what I was looking for. A lot of them were very general postings, clearly looking for more experienced professionals in the field. Handshake has been really helpful for me because everything that came onto my results were looking for people my age, people with my experience in terms of what I was studying at school.
When we got to college, we pretty much had to fend for ourselves.
Handshake is a really great platform for students because it connects students like me with a bunch of opportunities that we wouldn't have had earlier. And I've seen how much access students now have to different internships and full-time jobs that we didn't have with our previous system.
I only get notifications about, like, here is a legal job that you're interested, or here's a political job that you're interested to. I definitely appreciate that because it made me more aware that, like, what I want to do has, like, so many different avenues.
Handshake is so powerful. It's in a very unique position to offer a reviews and Q&A platform from not only alumni, but students as well. I have learned a lot about what it takes to succeed in the tech industry and even learn what I can do with my major.
When I first heard from Chase, it was super surprising. It definitely gave me a sense of confidence that there are things that I could achieve that I never thought I could.
I didn't know how to look or where to ask, but on Handshake, I found so many part-time jobs around campus that will work with your schedule, and then I found other internships. It just makes it easier for students and for everybody.
I put in the filters for what I was looking for specifically, a film internship in LA where I'm from. And in about a day, I heard back from 3 different employers, all reaching out to set up interviews, and I ended up getting the job.
Over summer break, I got an email from Handshake. The European Union had reached out to me and wanted me to apply for an internship. So I did, and I got it.
When I think about what I want my career to look like, it's more than just securing financial stability. It's about being able to find a company where you can have a meaningful impact. Handshake is there for us throughout our entire job search process for every student.
Companies are looking for me and people with my sort of skills. That was like the best feeling in the world.
We're more than just a major, more than just a GPA.
I have a lot to thank Handshake for, and you will too if you give it a try.
Handshake is pretty awesome.
Handshake has opportunities for absolutely everyone, and I'm so glad that I realized that now. It's been a complete outpour of opportunities for me.
So that was a little bit of an intro. So let's get started. So I'm gonna switch screens so you guys can see my profile. And hopefully you had the opportunity to log into Handshake if you had not done so already. So you will be seeing really similar things on with mine. So this is when I log into my student account, this is the landing page that you will see. You will see, of course, some key links here, and we'll get into that. Something that's really interesting is if you favor any employers or any type of details in your profile, you might get job opportunities that pop up related to that. And as you scroll down, there's suggested events that are happening. So this is all on the landing page. So everyone's page looks a little different, but some of these features are live and update every day. So with that, let's talk about the most important part here, your profiles. So I'm going to go into my profile and I'll show you some interesting features that and how they come into play. So you're going to see I made myself a marketing major. You're going to see a profile completion that comes through here. The best goal is to try to not only have a complete profile, but also to update your profile. The profile serves several purposes. In a career fair event, this is what the employer will see. So if you wanted to share your experience, your work experience, your education, your any details about yourself, then you want to make sure that your profile is as complete as possible. And Handshake will go ahead and give you kind of these shortcuts, like these are the things that you still need to add. Something that's really, makes it really interesting, you're going to notice here that all of a sudden it auto-completed this. And I will show you another feature. So you can actually go in here into your documents and upload your resume. So this is my marketing resume, my student marketing resume that I created. And I just uploaded that. That was just a PDF. And you can actually then ask it to build your profile based on this resume. So it auto generates this information so that it gives you a little basis on what to start with. Here you go. And of course you have to go in, if it doesn't quite transfer it directly, you have to make sure that you go in. The employer is going to be WSU, make sure dining services, let's pick. And the dates look correct, the description looks correct. I save and approve. And this one looks really good, save and approve. This one looks really good, save and approve. And check out my profile. So I'm not going to go through and update all of these features just to kind of get into other parts that are important, but something that you will be able to do. So later on, we're going to talk about LinkedIn. So your LinkedIn profile and your Handshake profile, a lot of the information can be interchangeable. So if you already have a LinkedIn profile, you can literally copy and paste the information into your Handshake profile and vice versa. Also here in LinkedIn, this is the same place where you would maybe copy and paste your about me, whatever you have on your LinkedIn, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But essentially, if you already have a LinkedIn profile that you began, if you have a resume that you already started working on with a career consultant, you can actually start updating all of this information. Other things that are really exciting as features just on this You can select, you know, are you looking for a part-time job? Are you looking for a campus job? Are you looking for an internship? And these help the program kind of make suggestions for you. What roles are you looking for? So you can actually go in and you know, start looking into things like that, especially if you're very interested in a very specific major or a specific company. Projects, again, these are all add-ons that you can add. These are courses, so I put these courses in for myself. Sometimes certain courses are really important, especially if they are associated with certifications. So you can go ahead and add those courses. Extracurriculars, are you part of a business club? Are you in leadership? All of these things really speak about you, and we'll talk about that, how that looks in LinkedIn a little bit later. But in regards to your profile, the goal is to try to get as close to 100 as you can before you walk into that virtual career fair. So one other quick thing in regards to the career fair, and we're going to get into that and jobs in just a bit, is that you want to make sure that your privacy settings are set so that employers can see your profile. So in privacy and settings, of course, account information is all there and my year. This is what I wanted to kind of highlight for all of you. Here in privacy, there's a community setting, an employer setting, and a private setting. In the private setting, no WSU students and no employers can find your profile. So if they are recruiting and searching out marketing majors who are juniors for an internship, and you meet those kind of selections, they won't see you. So I would strongly suggest that for, especially for the upcoming career events, that you set your settings to community, because in virtual events, I'll explain in just a bit, there's going to be group sessions and videos, and you'll be able to interact with your employer in that way. So privacy settings, really important. All right. I am gonna, oh, there's one more thing that's to here, has to do with notifications. Making sure that you are receiving notifications from employers. Check your settings here so that you're not missing a recruiter that's actually messaging you. And you'll see in my messages, I've actually gotten recruited because they thought I was a student. And you'll see that I've gotten certain messages here from recruiters that said, hey, I'd be really interested if you applied for this job. So just make sure that your settings are open and receptive to those opportunities that may land your direction. All right, I'm gonna move on to virtual fairs and events. So back to your landing page. Here we have lots of options to create. Of course, jobs and internships we'll get there, but here are events. In regards to events, as long as you see it, you can attend. So if it is hosted by WSU and you are able to actually attend if they feel that it's relevant. Specifically, you can just go through and see what's happening like that week if you're kind of exploring. Something here that I want to point everyone to is the Carson Fall Career Series. And you can bookmark that. You're actually in the Carson Fall Career Series right now, and so there's other events that are associated with that. But if you click on, let's say, this event, you will see details and information about it. You will see students that have RSVP'd. You yourself can RSVP, and it will remind you that it's happening. Sorry, that it's happening, or you can bookmark it with a star. So events are pretty straightforward. You can search, you can do a search for a career or accounting or banking. You can add filters. So I will let you kind of explore some of these features. And again, we'll give you information at the end so that you can actually reach out to us if you want to keep on having this conversation. But feel free to explore these features on your own and see what kind of events you can select. But strongly encourage, bookmark that Carson Career Fall Series. All right, so let's move on to the big question, which is career fairs. So if you click on the career fair tab, you're gonna see all the career fairs that are happening in WSU, whether they're on Pullman campus, Vancouver campus, global campus. And currently right now, just like the events, if you see it, you may attend. And so One of the things I want to encourage you all who are looking at your computer screens is make sure that you are looking, if you have a major specific event, like for example, if you're an accounting major on this call, make sure that you are attending the Meet the Firms and you bookmark that. For all majors in the business school, the Career Networking Night is the event that you need to be in order to connect with employers and begin your process. So make sure that you bookmark that and you click on the event. And let's kind of navigate what that looks like for a career fair. So I registered for the event ahead of time. You would say register now, and then you just click on it, but I'm already registered. You will receive an email in your Outlook that will confirm that information. So here it tells you what it's all about and then it tells you a list of all the employers that are attending. If you scroll all the way down below, you'll be able to see the full complete list. If you click to expand, and several things can happen. You can follow an employer that you're really interested in if you know they're attending. This means that if they have job opportunities or internships, it'll send you those notifications to your profile. But anyway, so here's some, you can, like I said, at this point, you guys can take your time and explore through some of these employers, and you really should, because these opportunities are red hot. They are looking for internships and for jobs. And we can get to more of those resources a little bit later. All right, so if you are in the career fair, see the first. So I am registered. Oh, I don't want to unregister. Your sessions. Oh, sorry. So you see these tabs here. This is what I was looking for. Available sessions, your sessions, and career details. So we're going to look at available sessions. For a career fair, there will be two ways for you to interact with an employer. On one-on-one, meaning you will be talking to them directly, and these meetings are 10 minutes, and they are your opportunity to network and to start really making that connection. We strongly suggest that you set up as many one-on-ones as you are available to have. Connecting with employers, connecting with multiple persons within a company is really important. So if you have time during a career event, you should not have a lull. You should make sure that you set your schedule, and I'll show you the beginnings of that. The other type of session you can have are group sessions. These are, if you want to think of them as info sessions. So if you want to learn about a company and you want to see what they're about, but first, all companies will have several group sessions that you can register for. And with that, you're able to learn more about the company. There's usually about 50 people max in those calls, and they run about 30 minutes. So one-on-one sessions run for 10 minutes. Group sessions run for 30 minutes. So let's look at some of the options that are happening in Career Networking Night right now. So it looks like some employers are still working on setting up their schedule, but it looks like for here, there's a graduate and internship application info session that British Petroleum is hosting. And so it talks about a little bit about that session, when it's happening. It looks like here, if I press confirm, the Handshake starts putting my schedule together right on the right-hand side. So they're having a session right at the beginning. And so maybe after that, I'd really like to meet with someone. Is there anyone available? Right now, there's no sessions available. Like I said, it's still a couple of weeks out. But as you get closer to the event, you're going to see that these one-on-one sessions are going to fill up. So you want to be checking, making sure that you're getting the employers that you want to connect with, and that you're being proactive about that for yourself. Let's see if somebody has some one-on-one sessions. Okay, so Cintas, fantastic company, has several one-on-one sessions ready to go. So I know that for BP, I'm going to their session and it's 30 minutes. So I think I'm going to set up my next session maybe at 4:40. And then you see how my schedule is starting to come together, right? And so that's how you set up your career fair. You connect with the employers you want, you set up the one-on-one sessions that you want, and you make sure that you're proactive about putting that together for yourself. Let's just hit on a couple of things. A few things to know about one-on-one sessions. you are not able to share your resume with an employer in a one-on-one session. If you have your settings, like I said before, in community, the employer can see your profile. So it's very important that your profile is complete, so they get that first impression of you, because an employer is looking ahead to see who's scheduled to meet with them. That's why it's really important to kind of make sure that that information is done and that your schedule is set up. So one of the suggestions that we'll have is to share your LinkedIn. And of course, we'll get into what your LinkedIn should be looking like in just a few moments. But that's a question that has come up in our way as the career team, is like, how do I share my resume or my information with an employer? It would be to probably share your LinkedIn with them. And of course, that ties into, you should probably share your LinkedIn, make a LinkedIn connection with that person if possible. Let's see. Something to note, if there is a company, for example, for Barter and Martin here. So let's say you had applied for a position, either an internship or a job that they had posted on Handshake, which we can get to. When you go to the career fair, they'll actually be able to see if it's the same recruiter, they'll actually be able to see your application. So that would be one of those few times where they can actually see the resume that you submitted, which you saw that I uploaded that document. Those would be one of, you could say, or you could meet with that recruiter, since you don't know if they're the recruiter that looked at your resume or not. You can be like, hi, I actually applied for an internship with Barter Martin. I'd love to learn more, and what does that mean? And really, it really begins that conversation. So if you're wondering, like, how do I talk to someone about a job that I applied for and I don't want to be awkward about it, just be like, hey, I applied. I'm really excited. Can you tell me about your company? And and begin that conversation. Let me see where I am with some details. In regards to this, if you need to change your schedule, you can always go back and cancel that reservation. So it's not tied. If you notice that there's a company that comes in and you really want to attend, just make sure that your schedule is ready before the fair starts. Don't try to build your schedule 10 minutes before it happens, because you might actually run out of one-on-one spots. So you might not get into a group session that you want, and you might not get to talk to the person you want. So again, thinking ahead, take some time, explore your Handshake, explore the different types of career events, set your own schedule, and make sure that you are ready. Let's see, just getting into the last bit here. The job.
I will add a quick note, because you can see when you're scheduling those one-on-ones, for some of those one-on-ones, it shows you the name of the person that you're going to be meeting with. And so something that I do recommend, if you are setting your schedule up ahead of time like you should be, you can go ahead and type that person's name into LinkedIn and see if you can look them up a little bit beforehand, so you have some context, like, what is that person's position? How long have they been working at Cintas, for example? Did they have a job before that? Where was that? What did they get their degree in? And those are all things that would give you talking points for when you're in your one-on-one sessions. And it also just helps you prepare and gives you a better idea of what that company really looks like.
Good point. So with that, I just wanted to take a second to just touch on the job and internship functions on Handshake. So you guys know there are several 100,000 employers that reach out to WSU to solicit jobs and internships just to COOBs. So if you are wondering, what can I do this summer? Well, the first and best step is to meet with a career consultant, but really take some time and navigate through the full-time and internship options and filters. It's a lot of pretty standard stuff. So I'm not going to kind of go into that much detail with it. I think that all of you are pretty functional with these kinds of features, but know that you can do a lot of the same things. You can bookmark it. Some jobs you apply externally. Again, these are because I set myself as a marketing major, so the program knows that I'm a marketing major. You can apply externally, and some of them you apply internally. Here's a VP job for analytics. And just like applying for a LinkedIn job or any job website, it will have it will either direct you to a specific page that you need to fill out for that application, or it will just say submit your resume or submit a cover letter onto Handshake for the recruiter to review. The very last thing that is really important to know is how to get career support on Handshake. So a couple of things that are really interesting is this feature, Career Paths, and it allows you here you can actually look up a role, and it talks about, let's say product managers. And it talks about the role, the type of salary, different jobs that fall into that. So if you're ever curious, like, what could I do with an accounting degree? Or this is just kind of a simple introduction to that. And you can actually have then further conversations with your career consultant about these opportunities. Speaking of which, let's get to that point. All right, so if you wanted to meet with a career consultant, such as Josie, you would go and click on Career Center. Here, once in Center, you would click Appointments, and then you would go ahead and schedule your appointment. I'll just start that first step. You would then select the Carson College of Business or whichever campus seems to be appropriate for your current affiliation. Here, you can either meet with a general consultant, which is all majors, or if you have specifically hospitality or specifically accounting, you can select that. Oh, and here's Josie. And within this schedule, you can see when she is available for appointments, and you can set that up yourself. With that, once that's completed, just make sure that you save that to your Outlook calendar and that you are meeting to make that appointment. A few tips just to walk away. Make sure, again, update your profile often. Read your Carson emails. So a lot of times your Carson emails give you a preview and hint of what's really moving that's really important for you to be at. So if you're not reading your emails, you better start tomorrow because you're going to miss something out. Research employers. Look them up on LinkedIn. Look them up on Handshake. Find as much information as you can before you talk to someone from that company. Let's see, and make sure that you are completely booked for a career event, for a career fair. Do not, you only have a certain amount of time. Make sure that you are connecting with as many employers as you can and working on that networking. And then last but not least, make sure that a career consultant looks at your resume before you share that information with an employer. It's always good to have that professional eye look over. And with that, that is the Handshake portion.
I'm just getting my screen set up here so I can share my screen. So I'm going to be going over really quickly just some additional things that will be really handy for you all to know about how to utilize LinkedIn right now. We're going to go over some basics and then some more just really useful features to help you get a little bit more out of LinkedIn, especially right now with the pandemic and everything being remote and online. It's really important, like Amy has been emphasizing, for you to have your completed profile in both Handshake and on LinkedIn. So you have a couple different avenues to engage with employers, especially during this recruiting season during the fall, when they'll continue to be recruiting throughout the entire year. But as you're getting ready for Career Networking Night at the end of September, this is a great time to be revamping and refreshing your profiles and your online presence, to just give you another advantage or another touch point to really be promoting yourself and talking to employers at Career Networking Night, for example. So briefly today, we're just going to be running quickly over, some of the main features and why LinkedIn is a really useful tool. We're going to talk about completing your profile, going over some tips for successful profiles and how to get noticed, and how to leverage your network on LinkedIn to make more connections. So there's a lot of reasons why LinkedIn is a really awesome tool to leverage whenever you're looking for jobs. It's a lot longer than your resume. You're not limited to a one-page document, and it allows you to be a lot more creative and play with it a lot more to really tweak it to showcase like what skills and abilities you really want to highlight. It also allows you to constantly be maintaining and building your professional network, and I can't emphasize how important it is to start doing this as soon as possible. There have been so many times where I have actually utilized the connections that I had from, students that I was in school with as an undergrad and in graduate school who have been helping me along my career the entire time, because I had those connections and would find out years later, like I had no idea that my classmate in my English class was going to be in the same type of career path that I was. But having that connection really helped me then see like what they did, and I was able to reach out to them and ask them questions and learn more about, why did they choose that path. So it just allows you to really stay in contact with people in a professional setting, and also have a good idea and stay up to tabs of what people are doing. You're all in the College of Business and have classmates who are going to all go on and do really awesome things. So it's a great way to stay in touch, and you never know when someone's path might cross with yours or be really similar. Something that I did touch on that I really also enjoy using this tool for is to research career paths that people go down. So I mentioned this briefly when I talked about how you would look at a Handshake profile, or when you're scheduling your one-on-one, you can look up that individual that you're going to meet with and see how did they get there, how many years have they been there, what types of jobs do they have beforehand that allowed them to get that experience. Perhaps you're going to have a meeting with somebody who's a manager or in a senior position. It will help you a lot to get ready for that meeting and to get an idea of how you could eventually be in that type of position by seeing what have they done before that has prepared them for that type of position. So it really can help you see that the paths are not usually what you would expect. So lots of people go down untraditional or non-conventional paths. And so that helps you see how those different opportunities can sometimes connect together. Also gives you the ability to promote your brand, learn a ton. There's lots of job postings in LinkedIn and people are sharing them, and you can also search there. So there's tons of stuff. And another tool that's really handy is you can, if you have your profile set up so that it's public, you can actually, anytime you go and view someone's profile, they will actually get a notification that you viewed their profile. And you can use that actually to your advantage and try to time it just to boost your visibility a little bit before an interview or after an interview of just checking in with that person. And it just shows that you did that extra bit of research to prepare for that interview and just get some context. And it just sends them a little ping. I recommend not doing this the night before your interview or on a Sunday night, but trying to time it like during hours where they would be checking it during work hours. So that's just like a nice little trick that you can really leverage as you're getting ready for networking or for a job interview, if you have the names of the people that you're going to be meeting with. So just some basic things for your LinkedIn profile is that it's really important that it's really filled out very thoroughly and that it's comprehensive, and that you have a story that you're really telling, and try to be thinking about like how are all of your experiences coming together. And it's lots of people have lots of different experiences, and that's great. And so you want to have those together in a way that you can have that story just told. And so that's up to you and how you're organizing your bullet points or how you're organizing the content in your LinkedIn profile. And that helps you build your brand. And a lot of that also comes from like, what are the posts that you're liking or resharing that on LinkedIn? What groups are you a part of? So that you can really try to craft that together. And so if you're looking for a career in IT or in information systems, to try to be following things that are relevant to that, so you're constantly staying up to date. But while I did say that this is a longer version of your resume and it's good to have lots of different examples, you also want to make sure that you are trying to focus on things that are relevant or key information that are helpful for you and that really help tell that story. And so there might be some instances where you do want to leave something off, but just really think about that, because lots of times those things might help you, but just think, how can you make sure it's also streamlined? I'll be going over custom URLs in a second. And I'll be going over those tips in a second once I pull up a profile. let's see, other things that are really important. I'll be going into these in a moment, but having, you know, a headline is really important in your profile. Professional headshot is also something you want to make sure you try getting. And this can just be something that you take that would be like any of these photos up top are good examples. It's really just trying to have something that's not obviously a selfie style photo, and trying to just have someone else take your photo in some attire that is appropriate for the type of career you're trying to go into. So maybe that's just a polo shirt like this over here, but maybe it's going to be more of a suit if that's something, if you're going into an accounting career perhaps, or depending on what type of business career you're going into. So just try to make sure you're picking something that's appropriate, but you can also have a little bit of fun with it to show your personality. But you can also do that with your background for your whole profile. You can update, you can join professional communities and find groups which are really helpful. You can have recommendations, and you can show projects and examples of your work, which I'll be going into. So I'm going to show two different profiles really briefly and go over some differences. I have my profile and Amy's profile, which we're gonna walk through, and you're gonna just see that we both utilize them in very different ways, even though we have a lot of content on ours. So I'm gonna go ahead and open mine up right now. And it's gonna look a little bit different for mine because when you are logged in and looking at your own profile, there's some additional things that will pop up for you that you will see. And so when you log in, this is what your profile is going to look like. You can add profile sections. It'll show you everything that you could possibly go and add. And so this is where you want to be really thorough. And this is your checklist of all the portions you want to include on your LinkedIn profile. And so you have an about section, your intro, you have backgrounds, your skills, accomplishments, and these things all break down into smaller sections. And so for accomplishments, you can add courses that you've taken, perhaps. You can also add projects that you've done in classes. And so this is something that can sometimes be hard to have on your resume, but you can add projects, like really exciting projects that you're doing in your upper division courses, or if you had something exciting from a course that you took, and have it on here and highlight it. Any awards that you might have gotten. So there's lots of different ways for you to just highlight and showcase skills or things that you're doing to stay involved on campus. You can also request a recommendation from somebody, which can be added to your profile. I know I've written several for students, and you can add other languages that you might speak. What I'm going to show really quick, this is what most people tend to not know how to find. If you look at my LinkedIn URL, you can just see it's my name. If you haven't adjusted your custom URL yet, this is something I really recommend you do, because it will usually be your name and then like a series of numbers, which is it does not look professional or good on your resume, and is not really clean or easy for you to send to someone. So what you can actually do is just go and click edit public profile and URL, and it sends you to this new page, and you just click this button here on the top right, and then that lets you adjust the text here. So that's where I recommend trying to do something with your name. You can use a hyphen and type in your middle initial, or perhaps your middle name, depending on what you want to do to make it work for you. So that's definitely something that I highly recommend trying to incorporate whenever you can, as soon as you can. When you're going through your profile, I'm going to go back. You can see that I have my experience laid out, and I have a lot of content that is listed in here. I have chosen to use a bullet point format in the content that I have in here, and also highlight some recognition or accomplishments that I've had. And you can also see that you can attach things here, that you can attach things that are maybe awards or projects or things that you've worked on as you're going through and working on making your sections more robust. And so this is what's really nice beyond your resume, is that you can attach these to each job. So if you've had multiple jobs or internships, or where you have something tangible that you can show, this is a great place to do that. And so this is like another external link. And so so you can just customize this however you would like. If you've had multiple jobs at one institution, like many of you may have if you're working at WSU as a student, you can add multiple jobs and it would show up something like this, and you can really rearrange these and help showcase these in the order that you want, which is really helpful. And you can see that these are all condensed, but they're all separate jobs, and they're all things that you can click on to see more. And you can also really play with your formatting to try to make it really easy to read, because these were all for different departments. And so if I had entered this in as different departments, it would show up as totally separate jobs like this versus this. But if you want them all to pop up in the same job, then you would use subtitles within the same, just within the university. It's just one example of how you would do that. So you would just say that you worked at Washington State University and then list those position titles as changing. And then you could just say what department perhaps on here. And so that's something that was really helpful for me, and is something that I show students as a way to break up your roles if you have multiple roles that you've taken over time at Washington State University. And then it'll allow that if you have an internship outside of WSU, that it will break that up and show that in a separate section. So for me, my like internship back here, you can see it's like in a different section, and you can see that somewhere else. You can also scroll down within your education. You can add additional details within the subtext. You can add additional bullet points. You can add volunteer experience. You can add recommendations and things like that. And it's just up to you what you want to include. And you can see even the things that I follow and that I have interests in. You can see those things are all listed here, and that you can view all of those. So it's important for you to recognize that when you're in LinkedIn and you are following or liking things, a lot of that is really public. And so it's just important to make sure you're cognizant about what's the brand and image that you're trying to have, and making sure you're following things that are appropriate for that. Let's see, I'm going to go back up. Let's see, other things that you can do that I also recommend is you can change, just these are subtle things like you can change your photo, have your headshot up here. You can also change the backgrounds. The intro, this is when you are popping up, the things that people will see will be your name and this line here. And you can actually completely customize this if you want. And that's something that I highly recommend doing. So if you're not currently in a position, or if that position you have right now is not what you're looking for, you can actually go in and customize this and edit your headline. It automatically will pull your headline from your current position, but you can edit that to whatever you want. So that's something I recommend if you are looking for a certain career. It's a place where you could say that. It's a place where you can just say something to make yourself stand out. Whenever you comment on something, like something, or share a post, what people are going to see is just going to be your name in that line right here. So it's important to have something on there that's going to be eye-catching and help you stand out, besides just student at WSU. So maybe that's what you're interested in, what you're passionate in, what you want to pursue a career in. It's really up to you to get creative and try to figure out what it is that you want to promote for your own virtual brand of what you're trying to pursue. If you're trying to pursue internships, full-time jobs, if you're trying to change careers from one that you're already in, those are all things you can really talk about there. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Amy's just to show how it's a little bit different. So when we hop onto Amy's profile, you can see that she has an About Me section. She's included. She also has key skills that are listed out. And this is something that I do really highly recommend, because Amy can tell you that these they work as keywords. So when recruiters are looking for certain skills or people with certain talents or had experience, they're searching for these keywords. And so including these somewhere on your profile is really important. So trying to figure out what are the keywords for the marketing industry that you're looking to go into? What are the keywords for the type of firms or companies that you are interested in? And this is something that you will have to just start noticing by staying up to date by current trends that are happening. That's why looking at articles on LinkedIn is really helpful. And so you can incorporate these here. You can also just incorporate keywords if you have experience in those things. You can incorporate those into your experience section so it's somewhere on your profile. That's what's really important, is to have these words somewhere on your profile and have those things included. As something you can see that is different on Amy's profile that is worth noting is how she has, instead of bullet points, she's using a paragraph format. And you can see that she's using first person, and on your LinkedIn profiles, that is completely acceptable. And it's actually really recommended to use first person and to use paragraph to describe what types of projects you did. What are your main accomplishments that you have done while you've been there? And really trying to focus on your accomplishments and also explaining, things that are really relevant or showcase the skills or abilities that you want to highlight. And you can see that she has that paragraph format for her positions throughout. Okay, so another thing that I do want to show you all how to use, which is another tool that I really enjoy using LinkedIn for. If I'm going to share my screen again and just pull up this presentation. I want to show you all the LinkedIn alumni tool. This is a really powerful tool for you to use when you are looking to make connections or to learn more about industries or career paths, or to find someone to help you learn more about a field. It allows you to find people, and so this is just linked to the Washington State University page. Really, you can just access it from here and just type in Washington State. Oh my goodness. So you can see the school pops up, you click on it, takes you to this page, and then you just go down to the alumni tab, show more, and now you can start seeing where alumni live, and you can see where they work. So these are two different strategies that you can use to start trying to find people that you can get in contact with. So let's say you are from the just Seattle area. Let's say that's where you're from. You can see that this is where most of Cougs are from, but you can also see Cougs in Spokane. You can see that they're in Phoenix, in San Francisco. They're really all over. If there's a place that you don't see on here, you just type add and type that in. So you can also look at, let's go ahead and click into a business. Let's look at Starbucks. So I just selected Starbucks, and now you can also see that there are Starbucks employees in Seattle. There are Starbucks employees in Spokane, Orange County, so you can see how they're all broken up. But since the Starbucks headquarters is in Seattle, let's go ahead and select Seattle. So now we're just going to see results from Seattle at Starbucks. You can see there's 294 WSU alumni at Starbucks. Scroll down from here, and then you can see who those alumni are. And you can actually see, that key, that byline that they have on their profile is what you're going to see. And so this is a good example of how you can get creative with this. You can have it be your position, or you can have it be something else. It's really up to you, but you can see how that actually plays out. And you can see who I have shared connections with already. And I have lots of shared connections with people at Starbucks. So that's really great, because then if I want to reach out to someone, I have someone that I might be able to use to get connected with them. The more connections you have, when you have these types of connections, it makes it easier for you to connect directly with them. So when you have no mutual connections, there are more barriers for you to add someone, just cold call. It's really set up in a way that it's trying to allow you to tap into more people in your network versus just reaching out to people totally outside, which is why it's important to build your network as meaningfully as you can early, so that you have more of those connections, which you can tap into down the road, because you'll always have those connections. You can go, and so this is a recruiting coordinator here. You can see that it looks like they graduated hospitality in 2016. Let's just go ahead and click on this person's profile. You can scroll down, and this can be really helpful, perhaps if you're an HR student and you're really interested in recruiting, or if you just want to figure out who the recruiter is to contact them. This is another great way to do it. But then you can start seeing, okay, well, what are they recruiting for? Oh, this person is recruiting for supply chain, manufacturing, retail, Starbucks technology. So this is really helpful for you if this is actually to help you figure out if this is actually a good contact for you. You can see, other things that she has done. Previous experiences. It looks like she was actually an intern at Starbucks. So that's really interesting and good for you to know if you did want to talk to her. And you can actually get a general idea of what it looked like for her when she was an intern there. And you can see the year that she graduated in 2016. So that's a ton of information that can really give you a lot of ideas and context for how to prepare for a career at Starbucks, for example, or how to prepare for a career in recruiting. You can see that she didn't go straight to Starbucks after this, even though she interned. It looks like she had another position that she worked in for a year and 8 months before transitioning over here on a temporary assignment and then getting a full-time job. So that's really interesting. from there, you can continue to find things. I'm going to just click on one more on Finance Manager. And so if we're trying to connect, you can see if I send a connect button here, you can add a note. And oh, I did go and connect with her. I would not recommend doing that. But what I do recommend is if you are trying to connect with somebody, that you do add a note so you can have a really meaningful connection. Whenever you are meeting with people on, and actually I know Amanda, so it's actually not bad. It's a great person to have gotten a connection with. Why not just get this done? There we go. I got a new connection today. This is wonderful. So yeah, you can go and just learn more about her. That's how you send a message. I do recommend adding a personalized message on there. And you can see I cannot message her until we have that connection. So that's something that she would have to go in and approve. So that tool is super powerful. You can just look for businesses, you can look for cities. Those are lots of different ways that you can do it. So if you know that you're going to be moving to San Francisco or that that's your goal, you can just start scoping out San Francisco for Cougs to get you a connection. What I have found and what tons of students who I've worked with have found is that Cougs are very, very open to talking to current students if you just reach out to them and explain your situation and why you think it would be meaningful to talk to them. But when doing that, I really recommend that you're not just finding any Coug, but you find someone with something in common with you, whether that is the major that they pursued or the career path that they followed is maybe one that you think is really inspiring or one that you're really interested in, that you want to ask questions about. Maybe they were in a similar club beforehand. And so those are all things that you might want to try including in that personalized message when you send it out so that you can get connected with them. And so you can see the president of the organization she was a part of, she was an intern at Boeing, and then what she's been doing in this trajectory of the last 4 years at Starbucks. And you can see she's moved a lot of positions while at Starbucks. That's also really interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and go back to my presentation. We're getting close to the end. Another tool that's just helpful to use on LinkedIn when you are in your one-on-ones, whenever you're getting connected, is to just make sure you get names from people and that you write those down either on a notepad. It's really hard because you can't get a business card from people like you usually can. That's usually my best practice, is getting a business card, saving it for later, looking them up on LinkedIn either that evening or the next day, getting connected, and that's how you can build your network. But since this is all virtual, I recommend either taking screenshots, writing it down on your notepad, or your Word doc that you have open for notes so that you get those names down so that you can get connected with them the next day or later that evening, and sending a follow-up note to just thank them for their time. Some other just takeaway tips that are really helpful. Make sure you're updating your Handshake and LinkedIn profiles often. This is, it's just like your resume. You have to constantly be looking at it, every time you have something that changes or you get a new experience or accomplishment, or every few months, you just want to look at it because you're going to notice something different in a different way that you might want to change it. I also recommend making sure you download the LinkedIn and Handshake apps on your cell phone. What's really helpful is that you can get those notifications whenever someone messages you or connects with you on LinkedIn, and that can be really helpful to make sure you keep that momentum going with a connection, or if they message you or if somebody reaches out for recruiting. Amy already kind of touched on the Carson College emails that go out with the jobs and positions that are available. Make sure you're looking up employers online. A few of these things we did touch on. Yeah, this would be a great thing to screenshot as well. But definitely make sure you're trying to tap into and utilizing that alumni network on LinkedIn and on Handshake, because I cannot stress how fantastic Cougs are in supporting students as they are trying to navigate things and look for new experiences, or really just learn more about how to get into their field. Let's see, and also, yeah, try to get somebody to look at it beforehand. So I just want to open it up. We're getting close to the end, but does anybody have any questions?
We had one question in the chat from Samantha. She was wondering, should we have our account attached to our, so I think LinkedIn, right, Samantha? Should we have our account attached to our personal email or WSU email? So what would you suggest, Josie?
For your Handshake account, it's going to be automatically linked to your WSU email address that's created through that. So for your LinkedIn account, I would recommend just having it set up on your personal email. But you can always swap that out pretty easily. The only reason why I would recommend doing that is that it will just allow you to have access to it after you're no longer a student. So my main concern for you would be that after you're no longer a student, you no longer have access to your email, that you might not be able to go in and change things. But you can change your email in the settings, but you have to remember to do that before you graduate. So that's kind of up to you. You can choose to have your email visible or invisible on LinkedIn. So that's your choice. I leave mine invisible and just try to have everybody email me through LinkedIn and contact me that way. But you can list it publicly, but that's just a personal decision. And if you want to link it publicly, then maybe you just want to link your WSU account, but that's kind of your personal choice. And I actually think in LinkedIn, you can list multiple email addresses too.
Thank you for that. Let's see.
I see Elizabeth has an issue with LinkedIn. If you have issues, I mean, you're free to try scheduling an appointment with a career consultant. We can try to troubleshoot that with you. We also have drop-in hours you'd be able to come check out if you wanted to just try to get that checked out. But just shoot me an email and I can try to work with you to figure out how to problem solve that. But you shouldn't be kicked out with your WSU email. So I'm kind of confused why that would happen.
All right, well, everyone, it looks like I don't see any other questions coming up in the chat. And so thank you all for joining us this evening. And we, again, if you want to reach out to myself or to Josie with any additional questions, we are always available. You can make appointments with Josie. And if you want to speak to me directly, you can always email me and I'm always willing to follow up with you. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Please enjoy the rest of your evening and we look forward to seeing you attend the rest of the series.